Hi, guys. Welcome back to the mental health month that's going on right now. And I'm coming to you with 3 warning signs of mental health decline. Okay? Some examples of what I mean by mental health decline is having sleep issues, social isolation, stress. I think most people kind of have an idea of mental health decline based off of the whole COVID and all of that whole situation, because we really did go through a lot with that with our mental health in that aspect. And so when I talk about warning signs, we can catch it before it gets bad. We can see it if we see the warning signs. Much like, have you ever um, wondered how to tell if things are getting bad before it gets bad? You know, are there things that you can do, or even things that you can see in other people? That's another thing, is can you see the warning signs in others to be able to help them before it gets bad? That's a tough one, because sometimes people are like, oh, I didn't know, when there are actually warning signs. But it's hard to spot them if you don't know what to look for. So, much like with tornadoes, there's, for the most part, there's warning signs, environmental warning signs of something that's about to drop, about to happen. Same thing can be for people, you know. We all experience mental health highs and lows. So here we go. Let's do the 3 things. First one is thoughts. Okay. And know that they don't have to be in this order. Like, it's not a perfect order that, like, if one thing happens, then the next thing, then the next thing. Some things you're not going to see in other people. Thoughts, exactly, are something that not everybody is willing to admit the thoughts that they have. So, and some people aren't even honest with themselves with the thoughts that they have. So, overthinking and worrying, being stressful. Overthinking is the anxiety, and worrying, that's the anxiety. And then stressed about the past is depression. So, anxiety and depression are hand in hand. They coexist together. One's in the future, one's in the past, just how it works. With that, when you are worried about something, it takes up space in your mind, and it just starts to kind of like circle and ruminate and just sit there. Something that, an example of what I'm experiencing right now for myself, to kind of explain my process in being able to step out of the anxiety and the depression. So, and this is my thought process that I use consistently with a lot of my issues that come up, like little things that would normally knock me into anxiety and have me worrying and have me like fearing and stuff like that. This is what I go to. If you have any other methods, please put them in the comments, because I would love to hear more, because that's something that, let's share it out. Let's share our strategies so that other people can survive and thrive and get better. So, okay. Thoughts with my worrying that I have had with the present situation is my car. Now, I live paycheck to paycheck right now, and that is something that it worries me about being able to make the bills on time and to pay things off. Now, that's something that I will sometimes get caught in that loop of like, how am I going to pay for this? And, what if I lose that? Or what if I don't have that? And the thing that always stops me before I get like caught up in that like tight-chested loop of anxiety, first and foremost, I take a deep breath. And if I need like 6, 7, 20 deep breaths to get there, I'll get there. So, first and foremost, I take a deep breath. And just letting that energy go. Like you're resetting your mind. You're hitting that little reset button so that you're getting that oxygen in to get your brain rethinking, to change the view. Okay? Then what I go to is I think to myself, okay, if I don't have this, will it be the end of the world? Am I going to die? No. Right now with my car, example, if I don't make that payment, what is it going to do? Okay. What it could do is it can ruin my credit. But I can pull myself up from that because my credit is always ever changing. So there are other strategies to being able to fix that. Will my car get repoed? There is a likely chance, but at the same time, it might not be. There's no guarantee on that one. And if I lose my car, worst case scenario, if I lose my car, well, then I would just be back to riding the bus. I've survived on the bus before, taking public transportation, taking Uber, taking, getting all this other stuff. If that were to happen, I would still be okay. It would suck. And it would probably be pretty expensive to get it back out. But at the same time, I would still be able to make it. Like, I will not physically die from this. So, my mentality that I go to just kind of cut that whole, I go through that process pretty quick, but my mentality that I go through whenever I have these kind of like thoughts that come up, well, if it's in the divine's plan, it's in the divine's plan, whatever is supposed to happen is supposed to happen. And as corny as that sounds, it is actually a thought process in being able to let go of control, and being able to give it over to the universe, to God, to whoever you pray for or whatever you believe in, and saying, you know what? I surrender. I give this up to you. You decide what happens with it. I'm doing all that I can right now to keep up with my bills. I am working. I am, still doing everything. I'm trying to start up my own personal business as well as keeping my other business, as well as, working on raising 3 kids. Single mom, it's okay. I am doing everything that I can while keeping my mental health. So I know that I'm doing the right things. That's okay. That's part of the plan. So, like I said, the thought process is you have to really call your thoughts out, because that's where meditation really plays a really vital role in mental health, is helping you separate from your thoughts and being able to call them out. Because that's, like I said, my thought process is I challenge those thoughts. I challenge my own thoughts. I'm like, you know what? Who says that? Like, really? I don't think so. Like, I fight with my own self, which is a good fight, because sometimes those thoughts are really not right. So, thoughts are a big one. Second one is your feelings. Now, depression and anxiety are also in this category of feelings, because, they're fear and trust, and, like, lack of trust is really what you would classify it as. Being unseen and unheard with your feelings, like, because maybe you don't have people that you trust, you aren't talking to people about what you're feeling. Maybe because of the fact that you have shoved your feelings down for so long, and you've avoided them for so long with substance abuse and whatever else, anything and everything, you aren't used to actually, like, acknowledging them. They're still there, They're there. I promise. You just don't want to see them. You know, it's like a big stain that you can't like get rid of. You got to see it, and you got to work on cleaning it up slowly. So, feelings. Um, the whole being afraid, that's a big one because a lot of people don't want to talk about their feelings. They don't want to acknowledge the negative ones. You know, whenever you are feeling negative, many people, and this is something that I myself struggled with a lot. I struggled with toxic positivity, where I would wear a mask of being happy and like, oh my gosh, you know, so happy and always just so fine. Nothing's wrong here. Nothing's wrong here. No, no, I'm great. How are you doing? You know, that was sorry. Wearing that mask feels icky now sometimes, you know. Um but yes, that toxic positivity is a mask to show that you don't want to burden other people with your feelings. You don't trust other people with carrying part of your load of being too much. Myself personally struggled so much with acknowledging my feelings because of the fact that I didn't know how to actually understand my feelings. I didn't know how to actually unpack them or to control them, or because they just felt so powerful. So it took me a while to get to the point of where I can classify them and actually, you know, go, oh, okay, that's what that I'm feeling worried. I'm feeling a little bit frustrated right now. One that, okay, for an example, right now, the feelings that I'm working on the most is the anger. Anger was something that I was not allowed to show uh, because it was something that was brainwashed into me to believe that I lie when I get angry. So, and this goes back to my family situation where both of my parents are very toxic people that brainwashed into me that that whenever I spoke up against the things that were being done to me as a child to my mother, I was told that I lie when I'm angry. So it was something that I internalized and created this false belief that I lie when I'm angry, so I can't get angry, because if I get angry, then I'm not telling the truth. So I suppressed that anger for a very long time. And now I'm learning how to actually express that anger in a healthy way, like being able to be assertive instead of aggressive. Because normally what would happen is that I would push down my feelings of anger where I felt like my line was crossed, and I would then like erupt because like something would happen and it was the last straw that broke the camel's back kind of thing, and I would be pissed and I would just spew, and it was violent. Like it was like verbal vomit and it wasn't pretty. So it was something that I have been learning how to use the right kind of tone and words and really allowing myself to feel that anger. Still working on it because there are still things that anger me, and I have to be like, yes, that upset me. Like that really pissed me off, you know, and actually, you know, sitting with that energy and sitting with that emotion. That and it's with every emotion. If you are feeling sad, sit with it and don't run from it. It's about acknowledging that those feelings are there. So the warning signs of your mental health decline is that suppressing your feelings, not acknowledging them, not, talking about them. That's a big thing that people don't actually understand, is that more than anything, you need to talk about your feelings. You need to discuss them. We live in a society where people are still struggling with being able to talk about how they feel about something and being accepted for feeling those things. And this is something too, is don't discourage someone for feeling the way that they're feeling. Just sit with them. Let them feel it. Let them acknowledge it. Let them get it out. Because so many times, this is something that I've realized with the toxic positivity, is whenever I felt a certain way and I was expressing it, I would get people that would try to direct me into like a positive way of thinking. And they'd be like, oh, well, at least, or, I'd be like, I'm so worried about this. And then, well, at least you don't have this problem, and but you're not actually sitting with the emotion. You're not actually acknowledging what you're feeling and saying, okay, I see you, I hear you, I understand. And saying, okay, now what can we do to, change this emotion, to kind of work through it. If you just try and avoid it, doesn't mean that it's gone. It's still there. It's still there. You just won't see it and hear it, and so therefore it will sit there and just build. And just like with your mental health, the less you acknowledge it, the worse it's going to get, and it's going to decline more and more and more. So the third one is behaviors. This is where I believe personally that they kind of like thoughts and feelings kind of go hand in hand. I feel like feelings happen first, and then the thoughts happen, and then the behaviors happen, because we think before we actually do. Sometimes, the thoughts are there, but the action just automatically happens too. Depends on how severe the situation is. The behaviors that I'm talking about are acting out to get attention and withdrawing from others. These are also, you could throw in there the toxic positivity of people, really overacting like they are happy to put on like some brave face to make it look like they're great whenever they're really not. So with behaviors, I want to first address my example that I want to give with this is that sometimes people will act out because of the fact that they're trying to get attention, because they're struggling and they don't know what to do to get someone else's attention, and they don't know how to like verbally express it. Because many people that have struggled with childhood sexual abuse, many people that have struggled with that do not feel like they have a voice. It's kind of a common thing where they want to say something. They want so badly to tell someone this, but this goes hand in hand with, the trust and the fear, because, you don't know who to trust and you don't know who to, you fear everyone. So it's something that, with the fact that if you're struggling with your mental health, you live in that lack of trust and that fear, and you don't know how to express. You're struggling with even trying to tell someone something. And so I want to bring up the whole situation with like Nickelodeon and Dan Schneider and all of that. Now everyone is looking at the situation with a whole different perspective as to what happened in the past. So, what I mean by that is that with the whole Dan Schneider and the Nickelodeon cast and all of that stuff, as well as the whole P. Diddy situation as well in that aspect too, there are so many celebrities that acted out and, lost their minds, is like how everybody kind of put it. A lot of people said they went crazy, which is like a very common term for people that are struggling with their mental health because of trauma. And so the acting out part is a cry for help. It is a physical cry for help because they don't know how to express it any other way except for doing things to get attention. Because and this is from my own personal experience, I personally did not know how to tell people, like, I was doing things that I was not happy with, but I was doing them because I needed someone to help me. I didn't know how to verbally express that, but I was angry and I was, scared, and I was in all of these emotions, and I wasn't understanding how I was feeling, but because I kept pushing it down because I wouldn't acknowledge it. But I was trying so hard to get people's attention because I didn't know how else to ask for help because of the fact that I could not ask for help. I did not know how to physically, verbally express that. And many of these child actors that, did what they did, they were just cries for help. That's what they were. But they didn't know how to do it. So that's something that I personally feel like should be really let go of in our society, is calling someone crazy because they struggle with their mental health. Because honestly and truly, this is something that is a lifelong situation that you have to deal with, that you have to work through, and that you overcome having this stigma of being called crazy because of the fact that all you're trying to do really and truly is get help, but you don't know how. So something really and truly to really take a compassionate look at people, and instead of thinking that they're completely crazy, saying, hey, they're struggling with something, that's really difficult, and having a compassionate view of it. Sorry, get off my soapbox tangent, but when I talk about people withdrawing, people withdraw because they don't feel safe, they don't trust. People will act out to get attention, to be able to try and be seen and heard in some sort of way, even if it's with a negative way. You'll see this a lot in children, especially that are struggling, that have broken or toxic homes, and they're acting out in school for that reason, because they're struggling mentally with what's going on in their lives, and they don't know how to ask for help because they're not taught how to ask for help. And I'll be really honest, in the public school system, it's really broken in the fact that some of the people that they live with are the people that are abusing them, and therefore they can't go talk to them because the people in the system, like the people in the school, are going to go contact the person that is doing the abuse. So the kids know that it's not safe to go tell them this, because they're just going to contact my parent, and then my parent's going to do far worse for me, so they stay silent. But their bodies are acting out. They're still trying to cry out for help, even though that they know that they can't. And that is I know so hard how difficult of a place that is to be mentally, wanting help, but not having anybody that you can ask for help from. That's a lonely place to be. And so that's where a lot of the mental health will start to decline. Once you've reached the behaviors part and the behaviors are acting out, that's whenever things really start to take a decline, because they're not getting the help they need in that moment. So therefore, it's just going to get worse until it gets to the point of where something happens, where they either take matters into their own hands, whether they, hopefully they reach out. For me, on the behaviors, if I feel like I haven't really been, I try not to withdraw from others in the context of I'm still online with communities. I personally don't really have any close friends for a couple of reasons. First reason is that I was an addict and an alcoholic, and all of the people that I was connected to before recovery, I let go of because they were not good people to have in my life. They were not helping me with my recovery, if that makes sense. These were all people that were the old me, the addiction side of me. Once I found out the truth about what my family did and what happened, I cut ties with everyone in my family. I walked away. I don't have any contact with them. I prefer not to. My ex-husband, I text on the phone, and that's very seldom. It's very limited on what we even speak about. And then right now, I am limited on the people that I interact with in my life because and this is the thing that I was going to talk about with behaviors. One thing I want people to be aware of with this, I want to bring up the concept of gang stalking. If someone is withdrawing from others and also, feeling paranoid, because you kind of do feel that way, that is something that has to be taken into consideration, because you're not crazy. If you're being gang stalked, I am so sorry, because I understand. I have been too. I have been a lot. And so I understand how mentally that can be when you have people placed in your life to mess with you mentally. People that are pretending to be your friend, pretending to care, all of that stuff, just to keep tabs on you. I get that. Now, that can really mess with you. That really can mess with you. And I know, because for a long time, I struggled with it, because I was just like, are you kidding me? Really? Really? Just whenever I started to trust someone and I opened up to them, I come to find out that this person was being sent into my life to try and keep tabs on me and to mess with me and to try and, help crack me, break me mentally. My view on that, and this is just my view, take it, leave it, borrow it, whatever you want to do with it. My view on that one is that if people are trying so hard to mess with you, to take you down, you must be doing something important. You must be actually doing something that matters. So don't let them control you. Don't let them win. That's my little spiel on the gang stalking part. I had to throw that in there because I didn't want people to think like, oh, well, what if I isolate because of the fact that, you know, I've been gang stalked by like all these people and it does mess with my mental health and everything. I had to bring that up because I get it. Truly, I get it. It's so wrong. And the fact that people will do that is just, you know, for where there is light, there is darkness, you know, they come hand in hand. So I just wanted to give you guys something to work with. 3 warning signs of mental health decline and how to really look at yours. Really keep, like, write down the ones that you notice. If you start having sleep issues, if, you know, your sleeping patterns are not consistent, it can definitely work. It can change your mental health. It can really, if you are not sleeping or if you are sleeping too much, that's signs that something's not quite right with your mental health. If you're socially isolating, try and at least get online and speak to a couple of groups, you know, like do that kind of stuff. Post something on YouTube, you know, write a comment in the YouTube areas for things that you watch. And that is still kind of like a social interaction, you know, that's still touching into that. If you still have that fear, you know, that's helping regain that trust so that you can like speak up a little bit more. Going to a therapist would be really, really beneficial. If you can't do that, you know, talking to someone that you do trust, that would be helpful. You know, really, really actually trying to work through it. Or journaling is another one. If you don't trust anybody, write everything down and really like work through it. Whatever you can do something about it, okay? Get on it, you know, actually try and find out why you do what you do and what leads you down to that depth of despair so that you can get yourself out of it. Because you can do it. I promise you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. And I believe in you. Okay? I want to say I love you and I know you can do it. And Godspeed, universe speed, whatever you want to call it, Bob speed, whatever. I love you. And it's gonna be like this today, huh?